Hey, everybody. Welcome to So Many Sequels, your book club for movies. I'm Josh.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm David.
It's the end of Family and Food Month. Aren't we
I
saying?
enjoyed this, honestly. I feel like we brought some good movies to the table, if you will. Thank you.
Yeah. We had our appetizer, then we had our main course, we had our big turkey, and now we're eating leftovers and finishing it off
With
I even tried it. Yeah.
what comes
With
after
Planes, Trains,
later?
and Automobiles.
I know,
Yeah.
but your metaphor fell apart.
I did a little bit.
What comes
I was-
after?
These are our
I'd say
leftovers,
planes-
I mean.
I'd say it is the leftovers because we are technically
after
after
Thanksgiving,
Thanksgiving.
Oh, I guess Willy, okay, so we had our appetizer.
Willy Wonka was dessert.
Uncle Buck was our appetizer. The main course was Homeward Bound. And then our dessert was Willy Wonka.
I like that.
Now we get our leftovers with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
You fixed it. You fixed
like-
it. Good job, David. Good job.
I like that. Just for that, go give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
You don't get that kind of analysis anywhere else.
Or wherever else you have a rating ability on your app.
And while we don't have Willy Wonka this week, we do have candy, John Candy.
Ooh.
Second candy of the month, to be honest with
5-star
you.
review. Yeah, we do. We're talking Planes, Trains, and Automobiles this week. Let's get right into what this movie is about. An irritable marketing executive, Neil Page, is heading home to Chicago for Thanksgiving when a number of delays force him to travel with a well-meaning but overbearing shower curtain ring salesman, Dale Griffith. Neil is Steve Martin, of course, and Dell is John Candy. David, what was this movie like when it came out? Did people flock to the theaters? Did they take the planes, trains, and automobiles?
Back in 1987, this was conveniently enough for us, a Thanksgiving Day release. It came out
Nice.
November 27th, Thanksgiving Day, 1987. And it debuted in the number 3 spot with $7 million. Right at $7 million to be exact. And the number 1 movie that weekend was the also debuting 3 Men and a Baby, which obviously great movie, legendary movie. A lot of people like that as well.
Legendary.
And also number 2 was Disney's Cinderella, which was in a re-release. Brought in $7.2 million. Fatal Attraction was at number 4, and boy, sometimes the convenience just works out here. At number 5 was 1987's The Running Man, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, which we just had the new Running Man come out a little earlier this year with Glenn Powell. The number 1 movie the movie would go on to make $49.5 million in the U.S., so overall, a pretty decent run. It was the number, where is this list? Here we go. It was the number 21 movie of 1987, just behind The Living Daylights, and just ahead of a re-release of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Number 1 movie of 1987 was the previously mentioned 3 Men and a Baby, and number 2 was Fatal Attraction. Number 3, Beverly Hills Cop 2. Number 4, Good Morning Vietnam, and number 5, Moonstruck. For those who are interested in the So Many Sequels pod, this is only our second trip to 1987. The previous trip was Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
The best one of all time.
Honestly,
God
one of our
damn.
best reviews we've ever done. Go back and watch it. Hilarious, I think, from us. And Andrew, former host Andrew, was also featured in that one. So that was I remember that being a very fun podcast to record. Anyway, that is your roundup for Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Overall, a pretty solid little success on a relatively small budget. And another John Hughes hit. Cult hit, I guess you'd say. Or
Yeah. I hadn't seen this one in a very long time, so my expectations were out the window. I was like, I really don't even remember too much about it. It's not a movie I really watched as an adult that I could think of. So other than seeing clips like the I Like Me speech and things like that have gone around. So I was looking forward to a good time. I know Steve Martin, John Candy, very funny guys. So I was ready for a good time. What about you guys? Do either of you have a relationship with this movie? Are you plane, train, automobile heads?
This was a first watch for me, actually.
Okay.
I had never seen this before.
So then what were your
So-
expectations? What were you thinking?
I really didn't know. I knew that it was a fairly referenced movie because I've seen, like you said, the clips. I've seen several references in Family Guy and stuff. I know, like, reference this movie a bunch of times in different ways. And I'd always heard that it was like one of the true Thanksgiving movies because they're trying to get home for Thanksgiving. And so I did, but other than that, I really didn't know the characters. I didn't know like what their dynamic was. I didn't know how they met. So it was really interesting to get into the movie and witness it for the first time.
All right, Garrett, what about you?
This is one that my parents watch every year on Thanksgiving as a tradition. We often have movies that we fall back to and watch as part of our holiday traditions. And I feel like this is either one that started after I moved out, or it was one where by the end of the day, I was so exhausted that I either don't remember it at all or didn't really partake in it because I was asleep. But I also allegedly have watched it last year, and I also don't remember that. So I fear that my issue is a turkey coma following, or a food coma following Thanksgiving is the issue for me. Because I had the same reactions to this watching as I apparently did last year that I don't remember. So for me, I think it's going to be good, but I also feel like it'll be the first time. So I had this weird bridge of apparently I've seen it several times, but have no recollection of seeing it several times.
Interesting.
How fun
Yeah.
that happens. Okay, let's jump into the movie. So it's fairly short, which is nice. I noticed it's right under 90 minutes that the credits hit. It's like an hour 27 or something like that. And it doesn't waste time jumping into things. One thing that I want to say, just I appreciate about the premise is because of the situation, I like that this still could be possible. Does
For
that
the
make
most
sense?
part.
It feels realistic still. Not every part.
There's enough connection where people have canceled flights during the holidays. There's enough situations where people have like rented cars to drive from. Is it better to wait for the plane? Do I rent the car? Those decisions happen.
People still rent cars and then the car not be there. These problems never got solved in the last 30 plus years. I appreciate that about it a lot. And that's what we see here. What's his name?
Neil Page.
Neil Page is in a meeting to open this up. And I love this right off the bat. And this is some John Hughes goodness, I think, his directing. I was just as on the edge of my seat as they were, waiting for that man to say something. He kept teasing and speaking. That's because that's what they're setting us up for, right? He's in this awful meeting. He's been in it for way too long. Everybody just wants to go home for the holidays. They're talking about some stupid, like, magazine cover or something. And they decide to talk about it after the holidays. Are you kidding me? It's the worst meeting ever.
That's exactly what a boss would do, though, right before Thanksgiving, was we got to talk about it until the end of the second where we decide maybe we need some more time. Let's take a break.
To decide nothing.
No, we're not going to let you go home. We're going to sit here in this meeting all day.
If that ain't the way to just kickstart your holiday break.
It is. And it's, I think it just puts everybody in a sense of they've been in a situation similar to this.
Yeah.
Maybe not trying to raise home for
Certainly,
Thanksgiving,
some way.
but just like, I got to go home.
I
And
just need to
everything
be
about this
home.
day is stretching things out.
Yes.
The holiday is here. I need to go home.
Why are you still speaking at the meeting? Do you want to be here?
They don't like their families.
strange.
That's the problem. Yes, that's where it starts from, is they don't want to go home, so they don't want you to go home.
You could end up in that kind of situation very easily. So Steve Martin had GTFO.
Where are they in to start this? I don't remember. Do you guys know where
New
they
York City,
started
I
this?
think.
I
Okay,
think
so
he's
that's
in
what
New
it
York
seemed like. Yes.
because he's
because of the
flying-
cab situation. That's what it made me think of. But
He's trying to get to Chicago, but his first flight gets not delayed, but moved for the storm, and he ends up in Wichita, where the flight gets canceled, and this is where, well, actually, shit hit the fan even earlier than that, where he gets in
Right,
a fight
because-
with Kevin Bacon for a taxi.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Kevin
Yes.
Bacon jump scare is
Kevin
the
Bacon
exact
jump-
reaction I had that I don't remember having last year, where I was like, Kevin Bacon.
Kevin
I
Bacon.
know.
I'm partially convinced that Kevin Bacon is playing the same character he plays in John Hughes' next movie, because the next movie after this is She's Having a Baby with Kevin Bacon. I'm just like, this is the same guy.
Maybe it is.
I love-
Yeah, maybe it's in the extended universe. Yeah, Kevin Bacon is there. Steals Steve Martin's cab. That's really where the bad luck starts. But right now he's stuck in Wichita with John Candy, Del Griffith,
Mhm.
who, bless his heart, is perhaps one of the most annoying people I've ever seen on TV.
Absolutely.
Like,
And I gotta
like
say,
he's trying.
I feel like the thing that I take away from this movie is they both suck. They both really suck away from their significant other for whatever reason that may be.
That's the So I'm gonna jump ahead. I'm gonna jump in ahead a little bit here.
Go ahead.
Because I think everything that happens to Neil, Steve Martin's character, is so. It's a really crappy. Every situation is just beating him down more, and he's losing it more and more as he goes. And I think it is stripping away to like how angry and how pent up he probably is in his role. However, there's not really like a reason. I feel like in if this was like an Adam Sandler movie, he'd be cursed at the beginning of the movie for some reason. Like he would have stiffed somebody like a tip or something, and he would have gotten a curse put on him. There's just no real reason any of this has to happen to him, because he's just like
Happens,
he's
man.
he's just, I gotta get home. I want to go home and see my family, and things and bad stuff just happens to a seemingly ordinary guy. So I don't know. It would have been interesting to. I did feel bad for him the more that this went on. So he earned some of his ass whoopings along the way too.
Right. And my issue with him is that, yes, he is having a bad day to the crazy degree. And
Mhm.
for the first half of the movie, as he's interacting with Dell, I'm on Neil's side. The cab thing is debatable, whether or not it was a stolen situation or if it was just two idiots talking about it, and then this dude needs a fare, this guy needs a fare, and they just make it happen. That's the way New York City works. Sucks to suck. But ever since then, Dale is really difficult to be around. He is unaware of any kind of social cues at all whatsoever.
Mhm.
And a lot of the times it does come across as being like rude. When he like when they meet again after the cab situation, and he's like, "You stole my cab." "Oh, you're the guy who tried to steal my cab." Like that whole just like
Yeah.
shift of perspective and just like diminishing and then taking over and then gaslighting seems like something else that we're used to in this day and
Yeah.
age, but not quite as bad, obviously. But
It's
the reason the switch happens whenever the speech comes, and honestly, the big "I like me" speech, I feel like came so fast out of this movie,
really
where
early.
I wasn't on Dale's side by the time he gave that speech. I
No,
was like,
I had the same thought. In the context of the movie, I was like, oh, I'm still annoyed with him right now.
Yeah.
yes, yeah, but
Like,
then
was
Neil
Neil
Page
too
went
mean?
too far.
Yeah.
Yes, he
Did
was
I-
way too mean.
Still empathize with him? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're exactly right, because like his stuff's still all over the place. We completely took over the bathroom, wetted everything down. Apparently in a deleted scene, there's a reason the beer can got shook up and then spilled on the bed. But even on the airplane when you're riding with them, there's clear signs being sent up. I don't really want to have any more conversations with you. And I think it's almost like a slight knock in the writing that he doesn't come across earnest sometimes. He comes across like he's deliberately trying to irritate
Yeah.
Steve Martin's character. He's trying to piss him off. I'm just gonna take my shoes off and my socks off and they'll play. Like,
Yeah.
this is just poor
Some people are
etiquette.
that oblivious, though, you know?
And it
Yeah.
feels, but it feels intentional. That's all I'm saying. And then he
You
gives
would-
that.
That's what
he
Neil
gives this,
thought.
and that's the thing is he gives this speech at the barely
It's
4
not even-
hours.
It's almost. It's not even 30 minutes that he gives that
It's
speech.
a practiced martyr speech, like of.
It did
Hey.
come across as practiced at that point.
So anyway,
It was unearned at that point.
it's a nice little speech because it does make me laugh, but it does feel like, okay, he was ready for this. He knew that eventually he pisses people off to a point. He's aware that's the effect he has on people.
And he screws up so much more from then on.
Yes.
It's like you haven't even made your biggest mistake yet. Like, holy crap. He's a lot, but
Yes.
they both are. And that's why the movie works. It's a classic odd couple situation. You got your
For sure.
control freak with Neil, and you got your just, I mean, they spell it out. He's go with the flow. You just got the flow, man.
Yeah.
Things
And
just
absolutely.
Like a stick river.
And that's why this movie does, for me, still, despite what we just talked about, if you like pick it apart, yes, you see all these things and it's fun. But this movie still works because it's two brilliant comedians who are playing really good parts, delivering it really well for who they are. And then it's a series of bits. And if you don't like this particular bit at this point in time, don't worry, another bit will come around and you'll probably like that. It builds up
Yeah.
to certain ability. Their strength is that they are just so dang funny as performers and that they make stuff work. And that John Hughes is a talented writer for most of the, you can pick apart each thing. But overall, this movie delivers when it needs to be funny and it delivers when it needs to be sentimental. And it has all of the beats that you need to be entertained the entire way through. Even if you're like, okay, this doesn't make sense, this doesn't make sense. And that's what I really enjoyed about it, is that despite all the nitpicking that we just did, which is valid,
Yeah.
I still laughed so hard so many times.
We're engaged by the characters. And
Yeah.
that's why you can.
You are.
We're not drawing problems with the performance. We're drawing problems with these characters are so specifically annoying. And this is comedy movies have gotten away from this aspect, but comedies like this used to be written like they were made up of sketches to an extent. Like you take these characters, you put them in a scenario, they'll go through that scenario, and there's almost an SNL sketch type component to it of they're dealing with
Right.
this moron, or there's some obstacle they can't overcome. They overcome that. They move to the next sketch. They move to the next thing. And there's some cause and effect and things like that. And so when you have two good comedians that can also do improv or work off each other, it just creates this really fun tension over time. And it builds. And once we get up to them, like they take them, so like they've tried to fly, they tried to train, now it's time for the bus. And once they get on the bus, and then once they get to the rental car situation, things just.
I think being stuck on the bus singing the Flintstones song would have been the worst for me.
Oh, really? I thought that was fun.
I know. I was like, okay, I know this one.
I just could feel the madness already.
I want to talk about Owen. Owen, that guy, I wouldn't have gotten a car with Owen. I'd have been like, no, that's the one where I'd have been like, no, thank you. I will stay here. I live here now. Sorry, family.
Yeah, that's a scenario where I'm happy to ride in the back seat. I don't want to be with Owen in the front seat.
Honestly, it made me think of this is what inspired Cletus, the slack-jawed yokel in The Simpsons.
I would be surprised.
Yeah.
It felt very. I didn't know. I feel like I know some of those folk.
Yeah, for sure.
Having lived in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
The train
Yeah.
just breaking down is like.
Oh yeah, that shot of them just walking across the field with their luggage.
I was like, I can't imagine a more sucky situation.
For sure.
Yeah.
It would be really bad.
What about the car rental scene? Because I feel like that's the big one.
Well, and right before this, we'll get to the meat of this later, but we get one of our first real hints at something being off, which is that Neil tries to get rid of Dale and say, I think we should go our separate ways at the end at this point. And
Right.
Dell says, they talk about how he says, I haven't been home in years. And he tries to cover it. Because I'm on the road all the time, working. But we'll get into what that's more of a real for later. We'll get our first nugget of that here. But then, the rental car.
Yeah. Perfect scene. This is the controversial scene because it has, 27 F-bombs in it, something like that.
Yeah,
I don't have the notes on it, but it's a very vulgar scene that caused very serious conversations about the movie's rating. Because all the movies, F-bombs are contained to this one scene where Neil is somewhat, with some restraint, I would say, giving this woman at the desk about the fact that he's been dumped in the parking lot, assigned a car with no car in it, and this is after all the other stuff that's been going on.
Yeah.
And he's, I need my effing car that you said would effing be here.
Yeah.
In the effing spot.
Effing
F that.
In the effing runway.
Yes. And that moment, I felt every word he said.
All the frustration.
I felt it all. And I wish he had maybe approached her better to start.
For sure. Yes.
Because I think there's a situation where he could have said all of that.
Yeah.
And her not felt it was directed at her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I also would be tempted to speak like that to almost anyone who just was in my sight.
Yeah.
It's
you gotta prep them.
Supposedly, just the one little sequence there took the movie from like a PG rating to an R rating. Because otherwise it's fine. There's not another F-bomb in the whole rest of the movie. And so it was just I think we can all relate because they really go into great detail showing how annoying it was because he gets his car, he's been dropped off by the shuttle 1 billion miles away, only to find the parking spot empty. He has to walk so far.
He
like
walks
it was
the
so
entire
far
backwards.
And
I thought he
essentially.
was going to somewhere. I thought he was going somewhere else. I forgot he was even going back to the rental car place.
Well, and this is when he's finally escaped from Dell, too. He thinks he's fine. And there's no car. And then who does he run into? And gets lifted up by the testicles, I think it's worded.
Yeah. That's the wording.
Was one of the best. Oh my God, I laughed so hard. Because I tell you what, that man was angry. Because no one does that with a smile on their face unless they are ready to make your day even miserable. And the fact that they continued that bit with his voice being up just a little bit.
I know they left him in chipmunk mode for a while, and that's where there's several moments in the movie where they take it to a goofy level where I'm like, all right, this movie is not real.
Yeah.
You know, there's the voice thing. There's a random couple frames where John Candy's the devil.
I love that.
I know.
That's my favorite. Honestly, it's my favorite part of the movie is when they are driving the wrong way and two semis come through and they go through the semis and the editing is so fast paced and they both turn into skeletons for a brief second. And then he looks at John Candy just.
Very good.
Man, I wish we could. If we were a good podcast, we put the clip here. But it's so funny. And then they come to a screeching halt and the trunk just goes like a bill.
And then everything catches on fire. Yes. Again, this movie ends so strong, and the hilarious bits are pretty fantastic. But yeah, the emotional parts of this, too. Again, we learn essentially throughout this that Dale's wife passed. He has no family.
Yes,
it's all
heartbreaking,
heart-wrenchingly
honestly,
sad.
because he has his wife's picture next to him in the hotel room bed. Like his family's important to him. He talks about them a lot, but there's no hint that they're not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they cover it quite well, and being a traveling salesman, a good one at that. It really covers a lot of this, but that's when you see the humanity in them come out. Because the other piece that I didn't like about Neil was that he just was desperately trying to get away from Dell. And while I do understand why he was annoyed and frustrated, the levels that he went to get away from him didn't make sense. It didn't make sense to continue on your own. You had no resources whatsoever. So working together and allowing yourself to do that, it just seemed, again, really frustrating to me, despite the annoyance that he had. And so for him to piece things together and then be able to see the humanity and then go back to that speech and hear the understanding of people like me, I like me, my wife likes me, and all of this stuff. He's been stuck in that mindset. And so he had this moment of humanizing for him to be able to be like, let me bring him into this and see if we can show him that he's cared for, because that's really what Dell's been missing. And so that ties into that spirit of the Thanksgiving holiday-ness, and I really liked the way they ended it for this one.
Yeah, there is a bitter resistance with Neil's character almost to the end, almost to like, it's really only within the last few minutes of the movie. The car, even though the car catches on fire and they lose all their money because their wallets were in the car. I love that it still runs and they still drive it a little ways while it's completely burnt up.
Yes.
They start to,
That's a
for
great
a very,
part,
for a
yeah.
moment, Neil's got a room. Dell can't get a room. So he's just out in the car and he has a little tiny speech to himself about how he finally ran off another person or something like that. And again, here as the audience, you get a little bit more window into something. And Neil takes pity. He brings him into the hotel room. They talk, and he even says it feels like I'm on a summer camp. I'm gonna laugh about this soon. Like he's finally letting the guards down a little bit. They part as friends, and then he goes back because he starts to really think about some of the things he said. He's starting to think about how he's gonna tell his wife about all this stuff that happened, and then it starts to click in. Brings him home. Everybody's so happy that everybody's home and ready for Thanksgiving. Interestingly, I read that they cut a subplot from Neil Planes, Trains, and Automobiles where Neil's wife was going to think he was having an affair, and that's why he was not home. And that's why she's so relieved to see Dell walk through the door and not someone else.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
I know. So I think it was a good cut. And so they, but I guess it makes it like, because she's like, Wichita, what are you doing? Wichita? Why is this taking so long? Why aren't you home? It feels like you should have been home by now. There is a funny part earlier on. I said, Nikki and I said to each other, because he goes, we're in Wichita. And she goes, why are you in Wichita? He goes, we couldn't land in Chicago. She goes, I don't know what a snowstorm in Chicago has to do with Wichita. And I'm like, honey, I was like, if you said that to me at 3 a.m, I'd be like, honey, we couldn't land. So they took us to the next possible place they could land.
Yeah, I made a mental note in my head. I was like, what's with the 3rd degree on the fucking delayed plane? That's not weird.
Yeah.
That's not weird.
And she was like, I would never ask such a thing because I would know.
Right.
Plane can't land. They got to go somewhere.
Yeah,
anyway,
truly.
But yeah, so I think that's a good cut. And you're just happy to see everybody reunited at the end. And I had this thought. I want to know what you guys think. I felt like when they were in the back of the ice cream truck driving home, I thought, this feels like it's a hard movie to end satisfyingly. Like, they get home, and there's not really much else you can do. You just kind of have to end. And sure enough, they get home, and it's just, that's just...
Well, yeah, they have to get Thanksgiving.
They don't bother with anything else. So I
feel like these are movies. So we've done 2 John Hughes movies in Food and Family Month, unintentionally, I think. I don't think it was purposeful. And I feel like we had the same critique for Uncle Buck, where it just ended. I feel like some of his early movies, they just end, and maybe he hadn't quite figured out how to fully close it down until we got to Home Alone.
He knows the reunion or whatever it is, if it's people going their separate ways or if it's people coming together, don't drag it out. That's it. Even in Home Alone, it's like the family comes home,
end.
They find something to the right. Kevin! End. Interestingly, this I believe is our 3rd Hughes movie of the year because we did The Breakfast Club earlier this year.
Yeah.
So we've got a good Hughes going. Maybe there's a June Hughes in the future. I don't know.
John Hughes, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's very funny.
John
He's aware. I don't know.
Hughes. We'll think about it.
Mm.
Yeah. All right. Let's give our final rating and review of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles then. Anyone itching to start? Dibs not.
I think this movie was very funny. I
Yeah.
think that it holds up pretty well as far as humor and getting a chance to see two brilliant comedians get to play off of one another. 3 stars for me. It's very good. I will watch it and laugh whenever people want to watch it.
Similarly, this is a first time watch for me. Sometimes older movies like this are hard to gauge because they have such a long staying power that like I knew some of the jokes before we even got to really see them. And I've seen clips for years, so it's hard to like be surprised. I knew with the ending. I knew like the reveal with Candy's character before we got there. So I think I would give it like 3.5. I think it was really solid and really funny at times. Characters are written well enough to be appropriately annoying when they need to be. But yeah, I really enjoyed myself.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna give it 3.5 as well. I enjoyed it a lot, probably more than I thought I was going to. Just because, I don't know. Like I said at the beginning, I never really had a strong connection to it. Didn't remember it super well, so I didn't have many expectations, but I enjoyed what I saw. I think it worked super well as a Thanksgiving movie because it reminds you of what you're grateful for, which is not. We didn't really cover that, but I think that's what's going on here.
Yeah,
that's what that's what Neil gets to find out in the end. He still has his wife and family to come home to, and Dell doesn't. He brings them in. Yada. I love that about it. Yeah, 3.5 stars for me.
Nice.
Cool.
yeah.
Let's play a Letterboxd game here. It is. I am out of contention. Should I even guess?
Of course.
Yeah, where was
Okay.
the fun in not guessing?
I'll go
'Cause
ahead
the
and
thing
guess.
is, you can still block me.
That's true. I could still block him. So
Yeah,
I'll
you can
play it,
totally
but
play a huge spoiler.
This is
Mhm.
mostly a 2-player game. Now between Garrett and David. Let me see here. I'm pulling up some popular reviews of the movie. Oh, I like this. 3.5 stars. They're really not on the train long enough for it to have such high billing in the title.
It's true.
That is fair.
The planes and the automobiles get way more action.
Yeah.
Hotels get more action.
3.5 stars. I love how they contained every single F-bomb to one scene. Yes, we love that.
Yes. Yes.
This movie, the reviews for this movie are just simply too earnest.
Oh,
be too
people love
funny.
it. That's
I
nice.
know. Final review, 5 stars. That shot of John Candy as the devil, chef's kiss.
Ah,
Chef's
beauty.
kiss. There you
Yes. People on the same
yeah.
page.
A lot of earnest reviews for Planes, Trains, and Automobiles on there. So what do we think? The guess is, even though I'm last, I don't feel I should set the stage.
I do agree. I think you should be last. I think David should go first, and then me, and then Josh.
I'm going to guess it's a 3.3.
That's a good guess. I was going to say 3.2, so I'll go there.
Okay.
You said what? 3.3, David?
Yeah.
3.3 and 3.2. I don't think he's gonna be. I don't think he's gonna be lower than that. I'll go 3.5 like we did.
Okay.
All right, let's see what we got here for Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Dun, 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 dun.
This is exciting.
We have no direct hits this time.
Ooh, that's
Oh,
nice.
snap.
I needed that.
Yeah, I am gonna play a spoiler of sorts though, and we were all off quite a bit. I will say
Oh.
this movie's
I bet it's really liked.
This movie's a 3.8.
Wow.
Ooh.
So I'm going to win by
Wow.
default just by being closest at my 3.5. But
Love
we were
that.
all off.
You get your point, Josh. Just because you're out of contention doesn't mean you don't get the points. So
I
it
got
makes
to
a
say, I'm
difference.
pleasantly surprised by that because
I am too.
Thought the community would be lower on it than us.
No, I guess they enjoyed it quite a bit.
They liked it more than we did.
People love these two guys too. People love Steve Martin and John.
And it's got
For
history.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
All right,
would
well,
easily
let's
say
see here.
3.5 for the comedy. I get it.
That is it for Food and Family Month. Another great theme in the can. We'll be kicking off next. So Many Santas. Big Christmas month.
Yes,
Why
I know.
why am I talking like it's my first time speaking?
Because everybody gets excited around the holiday season, whether it's Christmas, whether it's Hanukkah, whether it's Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. This time brings the excitement as one were a child experiencing it for the first time every season.
Yes. So Many
welcome.
Santas all December long. Stay tuned for holiday movies and fun times
Mm.
abound. We've already picked out some of them, and I can tell you it's going to be a good time. So go to So Many Seagulls.
It's gonna be a weird time.
Yeah. Go to SoManySeagulls.com. Subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get podcasts. Follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, wherever you want to. We're there.
We are.
End of that sentence.
Checked.
Letterboxd, all that good stuff. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.